and get started. I am recording today's session. So that way, if you or anybody on your team is not able to join us today, we will have this up on our YouTube channel. But thank you so much. My name is Jamie Wallingford. I am the Business Engagement Coordinator here at the Callaway Chamber of Commerce. Today is the first time that I am hosting Commerce and Conversation. Normally, this is Avery Cockerham. But with my new role, this is a task that I am taking on. So you guys, I have been asking questions about what do you guys want to hear in the morning? What is going to give you guys the most value? So I really appreciate all the feedback that I have gotten. And today, based off of the conversations that we had, we want to hear about, taking our sales from a one-time buyer to hold on. That was a weird echo, sorry. Taking from a one-time buyer to lifelong loyal fans for our businesses. So I'm really grateful today. So Kenny Twillman is currently working on trying to get his audio feed working from Twillman Feed Services. But I also have Glenn Danuser on here from Danuser Machinery. So I would like to turn it over a little bit. So I just said Dan, and I know I did, and I was reading a side message. Glenn, I am so sorry. Glenn, would you please introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, sure. No problem. A lot of people call me Dan. So, I'm Glenn Danuser, fourth generation co-owner with my sister Janae Danuser. Basically, this is my 30th year coming back to the family business.
And how long has Danuser been around?
Just a few years, 1910.
Just a few.
So yeah, just a
No
little
big
bit.
deal.
Yeah. So
Um, Kenny, are you able to talk yet? I keep hearing in and out kind of back over there. I'm not
We
quite for
can
sure.
certainly hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yep. So we're hooked.
Fantastic. So what we're doing is we're just doing a quick introduction really quick before we really get into the juice of everything. So can you just give us your name and just a little bit about your business really fast?
Certainly. My name is Kenny Twillman. We've been here as of April 1. We were here 47 years. Bought it when I was 20 years old. I was working here at nighttime some and thought it was possibly a fit for me. It came up for sale. Talked to my dad. He co-signed a note with me at the Callaway Bank, and I've kind of been here ever since.
You think so? Again, you and Glenn, both short timers, no, still new to the business a little bit. So what I would first like to get into is I know there are some people on here that may or may not know each of your guys' businesses. So Glenn, can we start with you to get a little bit of a backstory about Danuser?
sure. So we are a manufacturer of agricultural and construction attachments. So we make various machines that fit skid steers and excavators that range from post drivers, concrete breakers, concrete mixers, pallet fork grapple, tree pullers, auger systems, just an array of different attachments, if you would. We also have an OEM side of the business, which is original equipment manufacturer that we do contract work for people like John Deere, Caterpillar, New Holland, as well as tillage, zero turns, hay equipment. It really everything is in our industry. It's about 1,000 customers strong there. And so the company started in 1910 by great grandpa Casper Danuser. He came into, I believe it was Wallace first, and then relocated here to Fulton. But where we are located right now is the exact same spot we've been here since 1910. And we basically just have overgrown our area here. When we took over, Janae and I took over the business in 96. I came back, she came back in 99. Dad was basically wanting to step out, so we stepped in and we kind of formed a management group, if you would. We didn't run the company as Janae and I, just being the co-owners and doing what we want. We elected to have a management group. We ran everything through the management group. We made plans, visions, and paths for the future through this group. And basically, we decided to throw off the gloves and just go for everything. We went for the limit. Dad always said, keep it around X amount of people or employees and keep it around X amount of revenue, and you'll be a happy company and be fine. Well, that wasn't good enough for us, and so we decided just to go for it. And so I can remember the last first building was probably about 6 years, 7 years ago, and now we're into our third expansion, and now we're looking at our fourth and final expansion to build out at SkyGo. Hopefully, break ground end of this year.
Wow, that's amazing. Kenny, how about you? I know you told us when you were about 19, 20, 19 or 20 years old when you decided to talk with your dad about doing this. What made you decide to go into business, Kenny?
Um, Actually, again, I was working here some in the evenings. I was working with my dad and my brother on our farm down the road. It's only 700 acres, and it obviously wasn't enough for 3 families. And so they were already established. My brother is older than I am, and so they were very much already farming. And I was, looking at coming on and could see that there just wasn't enough land. There wasn't enough to rent. It just wasn't there. And so then again, I was working up here in the evenings, and they decided that they, as in Wright Brothers, who I bought it from, they just didn't have the financial ability to run their grocery store as well as the feed mill to the best of their ability. They felt like they wanted to exit one of them to do the other one better. And so listening to that conversation, and I pursued then with my dad, I thought this could be a fit for me, and was very interested in the whole feeding thing, the grain world, and all that. And so that was kind of what made me pursue it, and just really found a home.
Okay. So I want to kind of get in here and start digging in a little bit for your guys' past and stuff. So when you guys started to now, and each of you jump in as you will, um, but so often as small business owners, we're able to get that first time customer walking in the door. For you guys and the longevity that each of your respected businesses have been around, how did you guys keep individuals coming back? How do you keep that going?
Well, I mean, I think business keeping customers coming back is your quality and your service. That's what it basically revolves around, in my opinion. That's why is Danuser still around, since 1910, and that's quality equipment and customer service is a must. It's got to be top notch. There's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of cheaper competitors, and so we have to differentiate ourselves and just try to stay on top and leading. So that's what we focus with here.
I think for us it was service. Being self-employed was just absolutely lived and breathed it. I mean, that was just, I mean, I lived it, breathed it, drank it completely. And so it was all about service to get the job done as fast as the orders could come in. And just was just got there as fast as we could. I mean, in today's world, the first thing most of our competitors want to do is push it back and say, well, we'll get you down for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, and we were for many years we operated on the same day, and we still do that some if we are slow enough, but we have tried to push as we've gotten larger, why we push to the next day and so on to try to organize our loads and our manufacturing and all that. But it was just all about that fast service.
And Jamie, I'm going to jump in too. And I think it's about trust as well, because when Kenny started out when he was 19 or 20, there weren't a lot of farmers that had grain and stuff that had confidence or knew him to come do their business there. And by word of mouth and by continuous action, continuing to say what he was going to do what he said, we built that trust too. And we have some of our customers have been with us since day one.
That trust piece, that I feel like that is something that, especially in a small town, that's the reputation that travels, that word of mouth. Um, so kind of going along that line, like that was a perfect example of that. But like Glenn, can you provide some more background, like examples of when you say like quality equipment and building that reputation on your guys' side? Can you give some examples for you guys?
Sure. So, in the agriculture and construction world, you can make all kinds of different attachments. We choose to focus on more complex, patent protected, unique niche attachments, and that sets us apart from the group. We also have a 200-hour regiment testing that each product has to pass before it goes to market. So we're not very quick to bring new products out. But customers and our dealers and distributors do understand that when we do launch it, it is about 99.9% effective and finished and ready for market. Other competitors of ours will just introduce it, throw it out there, and take care of problems as they arise. Well, that doesn't create the trust. If you're going to put this product on the market and people are going to pay you, can be several thousands, it can be several hundreds. They expect it to go to work and do their task and complete their lives easier, I would say. And so when we do that, we try to break our machines, we try to run them hard, we try to simulate what we believe our customers would do. So I think it's safe to say when people see a new product from Danuser, they know it's been through the ringer and it's ready to go to market.
Kenny, do you have more, or Lori, do you want to jump in with anything else?
Go ahead.
I think for us, in the beginning, building that trust, and then we expanded. Like Kenny said, he worked day and night up here. I wasn't a part of the business then, but I've heard many of the tales. He worked day and night to keep it going, to show people that he had the initiative, the motivation. And we're located right by the sale barn as well. He had also had the privilege of working for John Payne Harrison and had gained his trust. So through word of mouth, it's a lot how Kenny's business spread. When we got one satisfied customer, they told somebody, and we built upon that.
I will say again, it helped tremendously to have John Payne Harrison as our lead customer. I mean, no one is better known in the county than he is, I think, and the fact that so to allow us to buy from farmers. I mean, the first time we tried that, everybody is hesitant. Well, if I bring you my corn, will you pay me for it? And those kind of things. And John Payne assured them that we had money set up at the bank to pay our bills and so on. And so just by him signing off on it, that it was going to happen, that was a big bonus for us to make the big step that we did.
Nice. Do you guys feel, and this is for Glenn and Kenny, as you guys have gone through business and stuff, because you guys have this level of quality and expectations that you guys have set for yourselves, have you ever had to turn away business or anything like that because it didn't match the reputation of which you guys operated at?
Oh, sure. I think any business owner would say yes to that. I mean, a lot of people approach me at trade shows or call me or email me and have an interest in our product. And some companies would say, sure, here it is, here's the price, and turn them loose. But when I hear something I don't think is right, I dig a little deeper. And then we're not the perfect fit for everyone. A lot of people want our products, but a budget will always come to mind, or it's a small operation and they're not going to use it very often. I will recommend them to go to a different company that might suit their needs a little bit better. So I like to get as much information and talk to the customer as possible to make sure they're a good fit, because word of mouth will make you or break you. I think Kenny agree with that, obviously. And you can work years to build your reputation, and just one instance or one customer can destroy it. And so we want to make sure that we get the right customer to buy our products, that needs our products and keeps them happy. If it's not a right fit, it's not a problem. We're here next time. And a lot of people will call me, ask me, hey, do you make this? No, but I would go here. So I'm just kind of a information hub, if you would, in my industry, that if you need help, I'll help you. And it may be with my product or it may not be with my product.
With us as well, the show feed world is probably where we have we get some interest, and there's a lot of special formulas out there that people want different show feeds made. If we and of course ingredients is what that's all about. If we happen to have the ingredients, maybe just to get it to flow, our every feed mill is not the same. They're set up completely different to cater to different kinds of feeds for speed and efficiency. Like for instance, in the show feed world, heavy molasses and so on, people want it gooey wet, and it just won't flow. Because part of what I mean by that is we haul it up the pipes and it gravities down the pipe. And so therefore, if it's so sticky, gobby wet, it just won't flow. We just can't handle it. We can't get it through our bagging system. We have backed off from a few that we have actually tried, and we just couldn't make the customer happy, and so we just decided it was best if they sought someone else.
And Jamie, to expand on that too, we also, sitting out here in the middle of Calwood, people don't affiliate us with biosecurity. But many years ago, we chose to do business or to partner with a large hog producing facility. And because of that, we can't really do bulk hog feed for any other customer just because of the biosecurity concerns around that. And we have received many requests over the years to do that. But when we took on that partnership, we agreed we wouldn't do that.
So in the sense of like hearing you guys say, like you guys have identified individuals that you may or may not be able to work with, you're able to refer them out to other places. Have you ever found a time over all of these many years that you guys have been in service where, mistakes happen? We are all human and stuff like that. But how did you guys kind of navigate in correcting that? Because in small communities like this, we've all kind of discussed this, where reputation is spread by word of mouth, and that means a lot. It's worth its weight in gold around here. So how do you guys correct the wrongs inside the business of each of yours?
Well, I mean, we're always going to make mistakes. I don't believe any mistake we make here at Danuser is going to bring the company to its knees. I tend to not really focus on those and keep going forward and just correct as needed. Trying to sit here and think of an instance of something that we did, but like I said, I'm never going to make all the right decisions. That's another reason why the team was formulated, to help minimize those type of disruptions or issues that can arise. It can, word of mouth can hurt you again. If we can catch something, if a customer is having a problem with our product and we then realize it's not the right product or fit, we'll buy it back. I've done that probably about 4 or 5 times. They're just frustrated and they could get it to work and it's just not the right thing for them. And so we don't want you to be unhappy owning a piece of our equipment. And so if you are, it needs to come back. It needs to go back to the dealer or something.
We also, I mean, our world is slightly different. We do a delivery thing. We do a lot of custom feeds, not just our own. And so we have had mismixes before. We have several quality controls in place now to try to prevent that. But we have had mismixes that put something in the wrong and then deliver it into the wrong location. I mean, we try to tell our customers, please put numbers on things as opposed to the red one, the brown one, the green one, the rusty one, the new one. The new one is the one that really catches you, because then the new one turns into another new one when we get another new one. And so the numbers obviously help a lot, but in all of that, we can get things in the wrong place. We have some things in place to recover that. But the first thing we do is get out the checkbook and say, what can we do to make this right, that we're both happy with where we are. You have to eat what you have to eat and move on.
And additionally, I'm going to jump in on the bookkeeping side of it. If we know we have a change coming up, or we know there's something that have the potential to have the customer see something unexpected, we're trying to communicate up front too. We're in the process of a change. Please double check your statements when you get them. We're here to work with you. Please let us know. And also, as our customer base continues to grow and grow and grow, and we have Joe Martin and Joe Martin Jr. and Joel Martin Jr., we have to be real careful with the names. And that sometimes seems to be an error trap with us. And so we've been very fortunate with those customers that have that, to be able to work with them to resolve that issue. So that's some of the things we see on the bookkeeping side of it.
What are something, so when we're looking at like customers and stuff like that, and whether we're a business, like a small business or a large business and stuff like that, we always have this perception that customers are focused on one general thing. Is it, do we feel like they're focused on ads or something like that? What is something that you think customers are like care about, so to speak, but they don't really? Like, so where do you feel like you might be not wasting time, but using time in the wrong manner? Meaning, like, how do I formulate that question? I can think about it in my head. like marketing. I don't see a lot of marketing for either of you guys. So is that something that is not cared about from the customers because of word of mouth, or how does that work for you guys?
We try to market directly to the end user to show him or her what our attachments can do for them. We're a little bit different. We're not a retail business, and so I'm not out there trying to find customers. I sell to distributors by the truckload, and they have a specific territory that we give them a contract under, and their job is to hire stocking dealers in that territory to keep our equipment. So with that, obviously the dealer will stock other people's equipment as well. And so we don't want people walking into the dealership saying, I want to buy a post driver. We want them to walk in the dealership that says, we want to buy a Danuser hammer post driver, something of that sort. So we're trying to market to them. Customers, I think a lot of things are very important. Um, I don't know what happened. I'm going to say maybe COVID changed this, but price used to be a big stickler. Sorry, my light went off. And anymore, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. Quality, I always hear that from customers. We want a quality piece of equipment, quick delivery, made in America comes up quite often. So I can't really pinpoint something that customers are hell bent on having that they're really not. So I don't really have a good example for that, to be honest.
I really don't either. I mean, I think,
I can chime in here.
Yeah.
We do affiliate with a marketing company, and we recognize that that is a weakness on our side, but marketing takes a lot more time than people realize. And Lori hasn't had the time to dedicate to that like I should. We try to do small things like we do a newsletter and we try to promote some of our stuff. We try, anytime I get caught up enough, I feed to my marketing rep information and she tries to help with Facebook. We haven't been, our website is not real robust and probably needs an upgrade, but for us, it's just a time factor. A time factor, and employing folks in this day and age, it's difficult to find a good fit. So we have been trying to expand our office staff for a while and have not been successful in that. So that kind of hinders how much we market to.
Do you either of you guys feel like when I feel like marketing is such a buzzword that so many times when people are getting started in their business, or maybe they're, 5 to 10 years in and they're really focused on, do you feel that is time well spent, or do you feel there are other ways to get out there instead of spending money on marketing? Like, so for like networking and stuff like that, getting out there, doing sponsorships, being out in the community and being visible, do you think that's more valuable than spending money on, say, a Facebook ad or a TV commercial or anything like that?
I think both of our answers are going to be totally different because of the way we go to market.
Sure.
But my marketing, I have to kind of stay in the magazines, and this sounds funny, but if you disappear from the magazines of the industry, people think you're gone. And so, just like trade shows, the trade shows are really starting to dwindle, in my opinion. They're going up in cost and make it hard for a potential customer to come and visit. And so we're focusing more on your social media, YouTube. Do a lot of social media influencers. I like the people that actually are making a living using some of our products. And so I will help those folks and acquire or deliver it to them and let them play with it and give honest feedback. We don't want to stifle that type of communication. I don't have a script for them. I tell them, I said, hey, if you really don't like this, do me a favor and call me first before you just rail me on a video. But we do like to have people say the good and the bad. I started this doing the videos myself and then realized I don't think people want to see Glenn Danuser talk about Danuser. He's going to be biased. He's the owner. Of course, he's going to say it's good. So I like using individuals that say, I acquired this thing, Danuser loaned it to me. I like this. I don't like this. And we listen to our customers is what, a little different in our industry. A lot of our competitors don't. They don't really care. They have a vision. They have a plan. That's what they do. And so we're listening. Sometimes the videos, I hear comments of they wish it would do this instead of this. And I commented, it says, hey, we're working on that. I'll have something for you. And people like that. They like to be able to communicate either with an owner or with a person associated with the company that goes, speaks volumes. So, marketing, yes, have to be in it. Do I really want to do it? No. When your backlog is pretty substantial too, I don't know what happened. We used to be around a 400, 500 machine backlog, meaning that's the products we had to produce to fulfill the orders. And now I'm encroaching on 2,500. And so it's getting crazy, and it started going crazy at the beginning of the year. And I have no idea what's driving that other than maybe cattle market is doing well. But it's right now is not a time that I'm going to throw a lot of money in to market our products because we're having a hard time just staying afloat and getting products out the door, to be honest.
Right.
We actually over the years, we don't do it as much as we once did because again, like Glenn, we kind of filled up to capacity, and so why go looking for more? But actually, face-to-face farm calls for us has had tremendous response over the years. I mean, people to drive up the driveway, and of course, sometimes you're met with a cold shoulder, and sometimes if timing is right, the person is interested in hearing what you have to say. And so that for us was really the key that brought a lot of things on for us, was just a face-to-face phone call.
And I'm gonna jump in there too, because and this is a plug for the chamber. I love to attend the monthly breakfast, and I always try to say something about something we've got on special at Twillman Feed, because for us, that is a whole different audience that we have a time to talk to there than our normal. So I have seen customers come out, for instance, we sell Diamond dog food. We have seed, we have lawn products, we have dog treats and cat treats, and people don't think of us for that. And I really pride ourselves in the fact that we're very competitively priced. So I have seen, now I recognize the people in here from business breakfasts, but I don't know that I can take credit that they came there because I said that, but I do see some of those people wandering in or asking questions afterwards. So that's a different outlet for us.
Yeah. Something that you brought up, and I'm going to go back up to Glenn really fast, just because you said that your backlog now is so long. And I would like to ask both you and Kenny this is, when you see that backlog happening, how do you keep engaged with those customers so they don't get frustrated about that time lapse that they have to wait for whatever service that they're waiting on because of the different machinery and stuff that you have up there, Glenn? But like Kenny, the same thing. You say you do not have to go looking for people. How do you keep them engaged so they don't get frustrated during that wait period?
We produce a lead time email once a month to our distributors to kind of let them know where we are and how we're doing. They have to communicate that to the dealer. Dealer has to communicate it to the customer. Do you believe the customer is getting the correct information? No, because nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news. So when we tell our distributors, hey, this order is going to be, 4 6 weeks, they're trying to shuffle and do what they need to. Do they need to reorder more product to get in the queue or to get in the line? We have created an order system that has immediate attention. There's a code for that. And then there's a code for an order that is for stock. And right now, everybody just keeps flooding orders in to try to get their spot in line. And so we revamped our system again last week and peeled out all the immediate orders, and now we're asking them for their backlog. What is your backlog of machines that's owed to the dealers? And now we're in product allocation. So even though your order may be the oldest and it's time for you, if you don't have a backlog, it's going to the next customer. So right now we're trying to put those fires out. That's what it seems like we're doing on a daily basis now, is firefighting. And so if there's a customer or a dealer that can't wait or is upset or has met a deadline for a project, then we shuffle and we try to do it best we can. I've had a couple of dealers call me and say, why can't I have it sooner? I said, there's just so many machines in front of you. He says, well, if I can't have it by Friday, I'm going to have to cancel my order. Well, there's no reason to wait till Friday. I won't have it, so go ahead and cancel it. So I don't mean to be rude to them, but I understand that, time is money. And if they say Friday and it won't happen, I tell them. And there again, we'll lose that sale. Or sometimes they're just bluffing. And so we try to communicate best we can and take care of the immediate needs first. And that's what we're trying to do now.
Gotcha.
We also, anytime you take on a new potential customer, especially of any size, obviously we're not talking about the dog food customer or the something like that, but somebody of any size, you got to gear up, and you also got to realize that, like this time of year when the grass is growing and calves are just being born and they're small and our feed tonnage is way down. We will come to fall. We will get busy with grain. We'll get busy with grain again. Grain coming in. People will be weaning calves. Our feed will jump tremendously from the mere weaning. So you got to realize that this cycle will turn. So I am always very careful to take on a new sizable customer to realize, and along with the weaning of the calves, we will get those darn holidays. That means that we will make the same amount of feed that week. We'll just do it in 1 day less, or maybe 2 days less, depending on how the holiday falls. And we have to make the feed. It's no different than you and I. The animals have to eat. We got to get it in front of them. So you really got to think that through before you take on any projects, to know that we will get to that time of year when we will be crazy busy and the days will be very long, and we got to figure out a way to make it happen.
Do you see now? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lori.
I was just going to jump in there real quick. On the flip side of that, I'm going to back up. We've been in business for 47 years. And when Kenny started the business, he started it by doing as much service as he could. He would deliver whenever, any day of the week, any hour of the day or night. And a word of caution that if you get to be 47 years old, you still are 47 years. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that seems like a lot of years. You look back at the customers you still have from that era, and they still are used to that service when they call in at 9 o'clock and they'd like that feed delivered by 11 o'clock. You've kind of created that. So when you're setting up your customer service stuff, I would add that in there, is make sure you set yourself up for success, that you can continue to do that.
When
I've
you
seen
see that you're
from the Thanksgiving table, because someone called and said, I fed this morning and there's nothing there. And so Kenny jumps up and comes and makes the feed and does it. But some of that is just working with the customers, because times have changed so much since they were in the 1980s.
Yeah. And you talk about that change of customers and stuff. And we live in a world now where everybody has this like instant gratification that they're needing. You guys have very distinct lines of business. And how do you get it to where you have to reprogram them to get out of that mindset of you cannot get everything that you want immediately? Like, how do you continue to have that conversation without compromising, your quality and the service that you guys provide?
Communication, that is key. There's so much lacking of it in everything you do. And if you could just ask more questions, talk about what they need, where they want to go, you can really help things tremendously. So we are constantly having Teams calls with our distributors, talking through their orders. Where do we see them heavy or lack thereof, rearranging some things, restructuring, trying to be as transparent as possible without showing, everything. But talking and putting together good individual plans, because not one distributor works the same as the others. And so we're constantly tailoring and coming up with ideas. And then the ones that are successful, we'll share those with the ones that aren't so successful, and try to get everybody, on the same page, if you would.
Go ahead.
Want me to go ahead?
Yeah.
I would say communication as well. As we've seen our customer radius grow for deliveries and the price of gas, we always try to keep cost in mind anytime. So we can load a truck with multiple orders. So logistically, we kind of need to have a little bit of foresight of where we're going to be going, so our batching manager can get those on the right truck and be the most efficient. So we started over time requesting a 24-hour notice for feed. And it's taken us several years with the continued communication. Please call your feed in. And I always try to do that in a positive thing to help you to keep your costs down. If you could help us by, looking out there in the morning, or as it gets close to holidays, I'll try to put reminders out, and the girls out front will remind people when they come in, hey, we're off Friday, so if you need anything, make sure you let us know, to keep it a positive more than a negative. And in the middle of grain season for us, that's a high stress time. Customers dump their grain and they want to walk in the store and get a check. And in the day, we could do that, but now that has grown so much, it's impossible. So we're now working with our grain customers to say we won't write same day checks. We give us 24 hours. So communication, again, is the big key.
Just making people understand, though, that you can't, as a business grows. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest challenges, because when we were very small, very young, we were extremely ambitious, and younger too, and you hit the bricks running, and you just didn't think about, if I push this guy down the track just a little bit further, he'll realize that I can't make it that fast. You have to have time to get everything in the works. Now with government regulations, with FSMA and all of the things that we have to comply with for sequencing of the kinds of feeds that we run. We don't just randomly make a feed and then hop back and forth to different kinds of feeds. We try to sequence our feeds, all of our hog feeds, all of our cattle feeds, all of our horse feeds, all at the same time, so that we don't get any drug cross contamination of any sorts or anything. And so that is a really big deal, that people don't understand the things that have to go on behind the scenes. So therefore, again, we just need more time to get all that figured out.
Over the years, as you guys are, going through these different hurdles and things like that, thinking about your business specifically, but how, being able to relate it to everybody in the room, how did you continuously get your business to evolve with the changing of the times to keep it relevant and in front of people today? Because being open, 1910, okay, we're doing the math here. That is a very, very long time to be in business. And so clearly you've made it past the 1 year, the 5 year, the 10-year mark for, the business journey. How have each of you guys evolved to stay relevant?
Well, when I came back in '96, we had our PTO diggers were very strong. They were the only American-made 3-point posthole diggers in the country, and we really focused on that. And they were very expensive. I think people would, if you owned one, you knew they were the Cadillac, is what I keep hearing, or you can't break them, or they're the best thing out there. But the distributors business kind of stifled. And so once a year, we meet with all of our distributors at a convention. And so I asked the question, I said, what's wrong with Danuser? And they looked at me, and they looked at Janae, and my dad was there. And I said, now hang on, you have 3 Danuser here. Nobody's going to be upset. We need the truth. What is wrong with Danuser? And they said, well, you're stale. You've got the best 3-point postal digger, but you haven't brought anything to market that's new, innovative. We look for that stuff. And I sat there and I thought about that, and I looked at my father and my sister. I said, well, they're right. And so we came back, and that's when we decided to really switch gears, and we evolved, and we made a push to launch at least one new product every year. And it wasn't just the same old product. It took a long time to test and design. And, I was out at the farm using it, and just frustration would kick in. I'd come back, and the engineers would talk about it, and we'd revamp it. And so that's what it took for Danuser to realize our partners, our business partners who basically are driving this business for us, they're right, we're stale. And so we changed our ways and launched some new products. And now we've kind of created a monster, if you would, because they're all chomping at the bit. Every year, what's new? What's new? What's coming? It's like, well, we're working on something, but now they're starting to feed information back to us of, hey, this company makes a really good product. If you could put a spin on it and do something now, make it different, we could do really good things with this. And so we'll look at that. We don't take all of them on. We still are very selective, but we are transitioning, and everything is growing and getting a little bit bigger.
For us, I would think, we're not in this by ourselves. We are dealers for ADM Alliance Nutrition. They are our partner in feed formulations. They are the ones with all the animal nutritionists on staff. They are the ones who help us with our feed formulations. But I think partnering with them is probably one of the biggest things that we have done that has really pushed us up there with the newest, the greatest, the innovative new minerals. We have so many new products that are in the marketplace now that as a small person we would have never been able to do any of that. So I mean, and again, it's in your feed mill. It's what your ingredients are that you have to make it with, and so you kind of have to decide where is your profit center going to be, what is your popular feeds to make. So that's the ingredients that we stock, and then you just can't possibly stock everything. So then you get yourself aligned with someone else that fills in those voids.
And then we also jump in between seasons for farmers and ADM, which is becoming Acrolos. And we also are a Purina dealer in our second location. We'll have customer meetings and offer them a steak, and you can fill the room. And then our ADM partners or Purina, whichever it may be, will come in and give a talk about what's the latest and greatest, what they're seeing across, where their improvements are. Like when VFDs came to be, where they could no longer feed the meds they had for 20 years, how we were going to get to that next level without them having to have the expense of going to a vet every time they wanted to feed medication when it was necessary. So that's been a big plus for that. Everybody always looks forward to those.
So kind of being mindful of time, because I do want to open this up in a minute for some questions from everybody that's here this morning. I want you guys to each kind of reflect back over the years. Is there one moment that you can look back and it really defines you going, holy smokes, we made it through that. I can't believe that. I am so proud of what we just accomplished.
I don't think that was on my tenure, but I'm going to say Dad's tenure in the 80s. I mean, I think anybody in the agriculture business knows the 80s was just a roller coaster ride, and it was tough. And it broke a lot of companies. And so I commend him that he was able to hold it together. In our 116-year history, we've had one company layoff. And so that to me has been pretty impressive when you start thinking about 1910 to 2026. And so I would give that award to Dad's tenure of surviving the 80s.
We started in 79, so then we just boomed right into the 80s. I think 1980 was a drought year, if I remember right. So there was hardly any corn to be had. We were hauling corn out of Iowa, trying to find grains to work with. It was very tough right out of the chute. But it was one of those things where you buckle down and just do what you got to do to get through. Cut costs wherever you can and stay alive. And we were very fortunate that we were able to pull through that. But I'm like Glenn, the 80s were tough. And then all of a sudden things kind of broke loose, and we got some new business that was out there that we actually had to cater for quite a while. But we kind of coming our way. They saw our intentions were over the top, that we had every intention of being here for the long haul, and they've stuck with us a long time. Oh, my Lord, I just when something is ingrained in your head, I had a $4,711.20 payment for the first 12 years, and then of course you get so many more loans after that you don't know how to remember them all. But that first one was so ingrained in my brain. Bruce Harris saw to it that I remembered that one and remembered it well, and so and 40 years later I still remember that one extremely well. When we paid it off, it was truly exciting. It was, we had a whole lot more money borrowed besides that. But that initial loan, though, boy, that was a tough one.
That was a success, though.
That was this guy. Yes, it was.
Got it done.
That was a time to have a beer. I'll tell you what, that was a tough time. Sure was.
Well, I would like to turn it over to everyone out here in the audience. Please come off mute, ask your questions. Like these are the gentlemen that you want to be asking. if they've been around a while, I'm sure they've come across just about everything. Nobody?
You know,
Got a question.
I would,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this would be probably for both of you, but what was one thing that you felt like was the best unlock? So like when it happened, things changed. So was it like hiring a person or expanding the business or maybe just picking up like a different distributor or customers or just moving into like a different market, something like that. But what really just clicked or changed? Was there a moment that things evolved?
Well, that you hit on a few of them for me. A new distributor really climbed the ladders quickly, and so I had a feeling that we weren't getting proper representation in this certain area, and we weren't, and that came across really really strong. Transitioning into the Hammer post driver in 2012 really defined kind of our attachments and the growth. We took a lot of market share in the post drivers. And it's kind of a funny story because the distributors, I told them I was looking at revamping post drivers, and every single one of them said, "Don't do it. Post drivers are dying." And today it's our second largest product line to the tree puller. Obviously, the tree puller that coming out about 6 years ago, that really just spiraled us forward. I mean, that is one backlog I'll never get on top of. I think I have to produce 900 tree pullers right now, and that keeps growing weekly. And so, changing of distributors, because we've been with them since 1945. Is that the right avenue to be with a distributor in today's environment with this type of business? I don't know. I do think it works for us, and we're going to ride that train as long as possible. Will the distributor eventually go away? I think that there's a possibility that that could change. So we're seeing changes in the industry, changes in our equipment. We just try to to make the choices for the best ones. There's a lot of noise going on, but you got to filter through the noise and keep just trudging ahead for us. So it was a hodgepodge of everything you mentioned there that really transformed us.
for us, it was a couple of events. One large one, we picked up a large hog confinement customer in the area, which was just absolutely huge. And I guess I'll back up even further than that. For many years when we first started, we did all of our cattle feeds were all a corn-based item. And we kept struggling because every time everybody said when we take our calves to market, they're too fat. And it was because the corn was in there. We were initially feeding because we just obviously didn't know better, and neither did anybody else. But we were needing to do something that we could feed these calves without making them so fat. And then we got into the byproducts. I was able to find some things like the corn gluten products, like the soy hull products, like the dry distillers, and so on. These are things that are high protein, low energy, therefore not producing lots of growth and not so much fat. Because we here in the Midwest don't have minimal finishing compared to out west. We're doing all the backgrounding, so we want to grow those animals, and we don't want to make them fat. So for us, when we were able to get into the byproduct business, that just absolutely blew everything wide open for us. And then, a blessing in disguise for us. That was it was a tough one, but we had a very big windstorm come through and knocked us down. We had extremely good insurance at the time. We were able to reuse a lot of the stuff that the insurance company said haul it away and go get new. We were able to reuse a lot of it, so therefore we were able to stop and expand a lot of our bins. Our ingredient bins to be larger than we ever were before, to buy larger quantities, to semi loads of everything, and so on. And had we not been able to stop to expand those things and so on, we just would have never done it. I mean, it just it's so difficult when the wheels are turning every day to shut it off and redo a lot of that. And it was a blessing in disguise. I mean, it was hell on wheels to survive for that 10 months or so, something like that we were shut down, because we had a friend in Pilot Grove that was manufacturing our feed, and so we were trucking it all out of Pilot Grove. But through all that, we were able to do some massive expansions. And I guess if I did anything wrong, starting out at such an early age, it was hard to have the foresight to know what I should build and how you should do it. So I mean, I really think you need to look way down the road to decide where you're going to place a piece of equipment, to know that it's not doesn't need to be moved in 2 years because you're putting something bigger alongside of it that you don't no longer have room for. So I mean, it's really hard to have that master plan. I work a lot with Diamond Dog Food, and I think they're the greatest people around. But they also have put a lot of equipment in, and then they turn around 2 years later and tear it all out because they have a new plan and they're going to completely rearrange. And that gets very expensive to put a lot of things in and then tear it all out and redo it and to make it larger, more user friendly, and all those things. So I think having that big master plan down the road is key. And I don't know how, I have no idea how a person does that, but that would really be key to know where you want to be in so many years.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Okay, I have a few questions. So how do you really identify that high value repeat customers early on? And then what do you do immediately after that first purchase that helps you stay connected to that customer?
Kenny, I'm gonna let you try go for this one.
Well, that is a tough one. I mean, that high value, I guess, it isn't always just a large customer. I mean, all of our even our dog food customers are valuable to us. We want to see that for us, honestly, that name recognition. A very smart salesman told me years ago that always remember, people do business with people. And I think that is so key in small business and in large business, as Glenn's. I mean, that where he talks to people and so on. People want to know you. People want to say, hey, how you doing? When they come through the doors, take a minute. I mean, what clothing store don't you go into in Columbia that people don't try to greet you as you come in the door? I think that is key, and it's really key if you can remember their name, to actually make them feel like their business is appreciated, and so on. That for us is key, and to even if you have a second to exchange a few words, I think all those items are very key.
And also,
Yeah.
I think Kenny sells himself short. He does a lot of education. I think another thing people don't realize is the number of people that have hobby farms come in from the city and have a few acres and they want a few chickens or they want a horse, but they're not really sure what they need to do with it. So he spends a lot of his Saturdays with those folks. And they typically walk out amazed that they have somebody that has that background and they're just not walking into a Tractor Supply or a Buckeyes and grabbing a bag of feed. He's got the background and the experience to go with it. And that has brought us back repeat customers as well, letting us know either that worked or that didn't, or can we find a lower price point, etc.
Yeah, it's same kind of with me. I mess around on the internet quite a bit and get in these forums. And I started doing that when I first got in, and I was answering them. And then I saw people are like, if you just get on this forum, Glenn Danuser will talk to you. I was like, well, I'm answering all the company emails. I got a phone number and extension. I hand out my cell number. I mean, I don't know if it's just people aren't used to corporate America speaking with an owner. But I mean, I don't come into the office and shut my door. And so I speak to customers. Sometimes the only way that I can really get that relationship going is there's a problem. The customer has hit a wall with the dealer, thinks he or she has a warranty, and then they just need help and they need education. Just no different than what Lori said with Kenny. Educating those, because I always assume people that had tractors knew exactly what they're doing. Not in today's environment. They
Not in
don't.
today's environment.
No, and they just don't have a clue. And so they do need help, or they'll hurt themselves or kill themselves. And so you need to talk to them. And I realize that a lot of our customers are just like us. They work Monday through Friday. Sometimes they can mess with our equipment on the evenings or the weekends. And so when I know there's something that's going to need a little bit of one-on-one, I'll just give them my cell number. It's like, hey, why don't you just give me a call Saturday morning when you get out to the farm and get your toolbox, get your tractor, get everything ready, and call me, and let's work through this. I can get you up around in 20 minutes. And then you do something like that, and then he or she will post about it or make a comment, and that kind of makes you feel warm and fuzzy because you did the right thing for your customer. But then that word of mouth is starting to go around, and people then start emailing me, says, hey, can you help me? well, yeah, I can help you all. I said, just, we got to take time and work through it. So that to me is how you keep those customers, and people come to trade shows and just swing in and shake my hand and say hi and sit down and we talk for a half hour. They're not in the market to buy anything. They just wanted to come by and say hi.
Okay. So to be mindful of the time, because I'm not for sure if this kicks us off in 5 minutes, because it just gave me a warning on the screen. I would like for both of you guys, last bit words of wisdom for business owners. Anything that you wish somebody would have told you when you started.
I don't know. I think the only real regret that I have that we could have done differently is we tried to keep our roots here on the same site in 1910. And I wish I wouldn't have been so hard headed and just would have moved everything out to Skygo, where it needs to go because it's all flat and one level. This factory has been 4 or 5 additions. Those of you who toured it have seen the big ramps and the ups and downs of concrete, and it's not very user friendly. But it's just like, Kenny said, when I look in the conference room and I see the original building, it's a house. Did we ever think it would go to this level? No, nobody ever thought that. And like Kenny said, there's no crystal ball. But I really wish we didn't add that first building here and we just would have said, okay, this is a great site, but it's now time to move somewhere where we can get on one flat area and be more efficient. And so that'd be my only regret, is looking out to see that and not letting my pride, I guess, get in the way. Because Janae and I were both trying to preserve the company history, and it's just we're surrounded by houses here, and so this is just a no go for us. So that's what I wish we would have done different. But it is what it is, and like Kenny said, right now when we build something, this new plant, we're not going to build it for the next 5, 10, 15 years. We're trying to build everything for the next 100. I've got 2 kids. They have an interest, great. If they don't have an interest, we have all kinds of options. We can form a board. We can do an employee owned. I don't believe there's any reason that Danuser should just be sold and lost in the wind like other companies. Good companies have been sold and just lost. So we need to stay with grassroots, make the right attachments, right products for our customer, keep on building that legacy, that quality, and that reputation. And because I feel that most companies are suffering, or they're losing out on that deal.
Thank you.
I think one of my biggest things I think about a lot is I didn't have a whole lot of retail training. I had no retail training before I bought into it. I thought I understood how it worked. And you just, to this day, been here 47 years, and it amazes me what our costs are. I guess it just to manufacture something, just your everyday cost before you get to make your first dollar. Um, just know your cost, know that you're making money. Somehow you got to carve that margin in there somewhere between your expenses and and maybe, like for us, sometimes it's buying in larger quantities or doing whatever you got to do, but somehow you got to carve a margin in there. And I think that is so key. And I made the mistake of thinking that you could do something for 10%, or you could do something for something menial. And I'm thinking, wow, that all I got to do is bring it in, buy a pair of boots. I bring it in, I put $10 on it. It goes back out again. That's pretty easy. Anybody can do that. You don't realize the issues that come along, the shrinkage, the complaints that, you have this warranty issue, this thing that you have to do in-house that maybe the manufacturer doesn't stand behind. You just got to really look hard, and you got to think hard and make sure that you are making a margin every day.
And my closing comment would be, get involved with your community. Get out there and support your community. People will see that and appreciate it. And you'll find that draws customers in as well. I don't do that to draw customers in. I do it because I enjoy it, but I do see the value in that.
Thank you guys so much for being on here this morning. It means a lot to be able to have you guys all sit down, talk, let us open in an open forum, talk to you guys, kind of pick your brain, see what get you guys going, because you guys are the heart of Callaway County. And I know so many people look at each of your, respective businesses and be like, if they can do it, I can do it. And you guys are sparking hope in other people. And you're seeing that if there is a need, you're there to, you're solving problems. And so many times small businesses don't understand that they need to be able to stop and think long term. Their decisions that they're making today are affecting tomorrow. And to know that businesses can stand the test of time if you put the time and effort and understand it's not going to be all fun and games every single day at the start of business. You're literally there and you've got to put in that hard work every single day, and it does pay off, and people see it, and people absolutely respect each of your businesses that are out there. Thank you guys so much for taking the time, because this is something that when you're sitting in your office, we just took an hour of your time away. So we very much appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to email me and I will be happy to get that out to them. But join us again next month. We will have a new Commerce and Conversation. If there's any ideas of anything, any topics that you guys would like to have covered, let me know. But thank you so much again for joining us on this rainy Monday morning. And have a great day. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Look out.